In this video, I'm going to give you 5 tips on how to enjoy the holidays with intermittent fasting without gaining a ton of weight or being miserable. My first tip is to plan to go off plan. The fact is, during this holiday season, you're going to have times where people come over and throw your plan off course. Or it may happen that you just, you don't want to fast on a particular day because you've got stuff going on. And this is where your plan for going off plan comes into play. I found it very helpful to begin to build what I called my code, which was simply my plan for going off plan along the weight loss journey. The great thing about planning to go off plan is that you make the decision one time and then you never have to stress about it again, and you can just act according to your plan. So one part of my code is that I take all major holidays off, meaning Christmas Day, Christmas Eve, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, Halloween, Thanksgiving Day. Those are just complete days off. I don't do any kind of fasting that day. It's been amazing how much of a load that just takes off my mind. Just knowing like I'm off that day. It's an off day and I don't have to think about it or worry about it. Tip number 2 is to try to eat the proper amount on those days where you're not fasting. The thing with intermittent fasting is it just makes it easier to eat the right amount of food. There's no magic in the fasting window. So just because you're not going to fast on one day, that doesn't necessarily mean it has to lead to weight gain or even a plateau. This is really just an opportunity to try to learn how to eat the proper amount, even if you're trying to, do it over multiple meals and a longer expanse of time. And this is a really useful skill because the fact is, intermittent fasting isn't always going to fit perfectly in your life. And you're going to have days where you're going to take the day off, or you're going to have times of vacation or other times where it may just not quite work to have intermittent fasting be the thing you do. So to have the skill to eat the right amount of food is really helpful. Tip number 3 is to get right back on plan after you've had a pause. So what I found for myself was there were certain days I like to just take the complete day off. But there were other times where I just wanted to kind of pause the plan for, various things, and it just made my life easier. For example, on a day where we're going to bake Christmas cookies, I would handle the day like this. Let's say we're going to make cookies at 2 p.m. Now, I don't plan my days that exactly, but let's just say 2 p.m. That's when I'm going to do the cookies. I would go about my day as normal, meaning, I would wake up, have my coffee, and if it was going to be like an OMAD day, then I would just, have my coffee whenever I wanted it, like I always do. And then, like at 2 o'clock, we're going to make the cookies. So I would make the cookies and then sneak bites of dough and, lick the bowl and all that stuff. And then have cookies after they come out of the oven because you have to do quality control. After that, I would just go back to fasting, even though, it's not really fasting because it's going to be a pretty short window. But let's say we finish the cookies at say 4 o'clock and I don't eat again until 6. That's when supper's going to be. Then I would just not eat until supper. And then I would just start my plan right back up. So 6 o'clock, I have my meal, and then I don't eat after that. And then, I just go about my life. And learning how to do that, learning how to just have a pause and not let it derail you, I have found to be a very useful skill. And that was actually a difficult thing for me to learn how to do because I tend to be a perfectionist. I tend to have that all or nothing kind of mentality. But what I realized was if I changed my mindset and just realized that it's a lot better to pause the plan and to have that, little bit of a break and then to get right back on it than it is to have that all or nothing mindset, which would usually lead to something like, oh, I'm not going to lick the bowl at all. Like I'm going to just make the cookies and I won't have any fun with it, but I'm just going to make the cookies. Well, then, what would happen? I would, of course, end up licking the bowl or having a cookie, then feeling guilty, and then just, going completely off plan, just being totally derailed for days or maybe even weeks at a time and regaining weight. But instead, when I learned to just say, okay, I'm just going to pause the plan for right now so that we can make these cookies, I'm going to enjoy myself and then get right back to the plan, then things worked out much better. Tip number 4 is to remember that the holidays are an emotional time. We miss people that have passed away, because it brings up a lot of memories, things that we maybe don't think about on a day-to-day basis. But the right commercial comes on TV and we just cry, and just realizing that that's going to be an additional challenge. So on top of all the parties and the baking and all that kind of thing, you're also going to have these emotions going on, and just being aware of that can be really helpful in just curbing that tendency to want to emotionally eat. I have found instead of emotionally eating, just going for a walk or journaling out my thoughts and feelings is very helpful. Tip number 5 is to learn from this experience if you are restricting too much. So the holiday times make you a lot more honest with yourself about, what foods you want, what foods you don't. So if you find yourself in the holiday season and you're falling off your plan a lot, it probably means your plan is too hard, that it's not very enjoyable. And this is particularly true if you are falling off plan and then you dread getting back on plan. And actually, this is a really good thing. It's an opportunity to make your plan better and stronger and more sustainable. So if you're having trouble, just sit down with your plan and look it over and ask yourself, what is it about the plan that you're dreading? Is it, that you're restricting a certain type of food? I personally don't restrict any foods, and that has been one of the best things I've ever done on the weight loss journey because it gave me stopping power and it helped me to enjoy my weight loss plan. Or it might be something like your fasting windows are too long and you would enjoy something a little bit shorter. This is a great time to modify your plan and to test it out and see what your results are. And remember, this is about permanent lifestyle change. This isn't about, like white knuckling for a couple months to get the weight off. This is about what can you do for the rest of your life? Because once you get down to your goal weight, that's what you've got to do. You've got to keep the weight off forever. So you need to learn how to make this plan really sustainable, something you really enjoy, something that you can even stick with in the holidays. So thank you for watching this video. I hope you found it helpful and I hope you have a very merry holiday season. I'll see you in the next video. I want to take this opportunity to say thank you to all the insiders out there. Insiders get access to the vlog that I do for this channel. And on the vlog, I talk about what's going on in my life and what I'm eating and just kind of what I'm doing in maintenance. I also do a weekly YouTube live Q&A with insiders, and they get access to the Discord server. If you'd like to become an insider, just click the join button below. Thanks.